On this trip to China, as we were seeing all the major sites that tourists should see, we decided we had to do a cruise down the Yangtze through the Three Gorges and down to the Three Gorges Dam. So we took the President Prime cruise, 3 days from Chongqing down to Yichang. And it was definitely a well worthwhile trip and a very nice boat to go on as well. Polluted Yangtze. There's Sherry standing watching the view from our private balcony.
Lots of boats to look at.
The Yangtze, which is 6,380 kilometres long, is the longest river in Asia and the third longest river in the world. It's also the longest river in the world to flow entirely within one country. It drains 1/5 of the land of the People's Republic of China. Its river basin is home to nearly 1/3 of the country's population. The English name Yangtze actually comes from the Chinese name Yangtze Jian, which is the lowest part of the river. The main river, as far as the Chinese are concerned, is Changjiang, which literally means long river. So there you go, there's some facts and figures on the Yangtze as we go on the cruise down. This was just an interesting exhibit on the ship where we had an artist that does the painting inside bottles, which is quite interesting to see. Fengdu Ghost City was an interesting side stop. According to the Chinese beliefs, the dead must pass 3 tests before passing into the next life. First, they must pass the Bridge of Helplessness, which if you're evil, you'll fall off it, and if you're good, you're allowed to pass. Then they must proceed to Ghost Torturing Pass, where they present themselves for judgment. And that's the second test. And the third test is done at the entrance to Yangtze Palace, where the dead must stand on a certain stone on 1 foot for 3 minutes. According to legend, a virtuous person will be able to do it, while an evil person will fail and be condemned to hell. Yangtze Palace is the oldest building in the Ghost City, and it's 300 years old. The more recent addition is the Last Glance to Home Tower, also called the Home Viewing Pavilion, which was built in 1985 and is placed where, according to legend, the dead could have one last look towards their home and families. It's certainly an interesting spot to go and see what's left of that's remained above the flooding of the Yangtze. They're all going together. From there we continued the cruise down through the Three Gorges on the Yangtze River, which used to be quite a fast flowing river and very steep gorges before the dam was built, but now is quite a calm, placid lake, but makes quite a good cruise down. The gorges are quite interesting to see, but not as spectacular as they would have been before the dam was built, certainly. One thing that amused us was this mist that hung over the gorges, or most of the river, the whole time we were sailing down.
So like today, the weather is perfect, a sunshine day, because...
Perfect? I don't think so.
On a perfect sunshine day, the weather in the gorges is always like this. So this is a typical gorgeous weather, always misty on the clouds. So later on, our ship passes through the second gorges, Three Gorges. So you may find the scenery, the scenery or the climate always misty and more cloudy. 那么在以前呢，去汤峡呢是一个单行的航道，那么去汤峡也是因为水位非常的低。那么像现在我们能够在去汤峡里边两只船并行，还可以超船的情况呢，就是在三峡工程区。
They constantly kept telling us that this was just a mist and typical sunny days and beautiful days on the river. But certainly amongst even the Chinese, you could tell were laughing about it, that the Westerners, I mean, you could tell it, maybe they do get mist there all the time because it is warm and humid there, certainly, the river. But you really could tell, like the mist was slightly yellow and it smelt, so it really was pollution. But nonetheless, it was an interesting, good trip down. And we certainly enjoyed it.
Because around Three Gorges, more than 13 million people around Three Gorges. But only very few of them live along the river, but most of them live behind the mountains region. So if you look carefully, you may find some roads. Because like I said, because many people will live behind the mountains region.
Probably the best thought part of it, we thought, was going through the Xiling Gorge or the Shenong Stream, which is a gorge that starts from Badong, where the Shenong Stream and the Yangtze meet. And the crystal clear waters there, suspended walkways and hanging coffins are really interesting to look at. The river there used to be quite shallow, but now it's, I think, 30 metres deep at the average time of year. But they showed us how they used to have to pull the boats through on ropes because it was too shallow to row.
Stream 30 minutes, 30 minutes upstream. At night, same way, back to the ferry boat. And so our boat journey will be a total 1 hour. Now upstream and night dropped down. Before the new dam, clear water less than 1 meter deep. Before 1 meter deep. But now, clear water 30 meters deep. In winter, the water rises up. The water will come up there. Both sides, water line. In winter, the water will come up there. For our generation. In the flooding season, the water is lower. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, look up there, left side, in front, left side.
Now, of course, they paddle the sampans through, which again was an interesting thing to be involved in, and felt quite safe, and it was interesting to see, particularly where they have their hanging coffins and everything up above. So it was really an interesting trip. And lastly, at the end of the trip, of course, we came to the Three Gorges Dam, which is an enormous project, absolutely huge. It's the world's largest hydropower project and one of the world's most notorious dams. Sets records for the number of people displaced, which was more than 1.2 million. The number of cities and towns flooded, there were 13 cities and 140 towns and 1,350 villages that were flooded when it was built. and the length of the reservoir of the dam, which is more than 600 kilometres. Project's been plagued by corruption, spiralling costs and environmental impacts, and human rights violations and resettlement difficulties, they say as well. But it is certainly a massively huge project. Interesting to see, but not, as the guides told us when they were giving us the tour of the dam project, that was the only reason we came on the cruise, was to see the dam. We actually came to see the three gorges. The dam was just incidental to that at the end of it. But anyway, I don't know whether the Chinese would have been there for that reason either, really. But again, an interesting place to see, and certainly absolutely huge. And at the end of the journey, we came to Yichang, where we then disembarked there and flew from Yichang to Shanghai, which will be the next video in this series. So hopefully you enjoy this video. Please subscribe to our channel and watch more videos as they come.